You know that your website is the first impression your potential clients have of you. But how do you know if it's making the right impression? That's where website audits come in. Today, I want to chat about 3 reasons why your website might need a website audit. By the end of the episode, you'll understand how a website audit can really uncover those hidden issues. It can improve your site's performance, and it can ultimately drive business, attracting more ideal clients and making you more money. So let's get into it. Welcome to Website Design Made Simple, the podcast for busy small business owners who want a high-performing website that converts and sells their offers, even while they're sleeping. Because you deserve to have a strategic and beautiful website that truly represents your brand and positions you as the expert that you are. I'm your host, Jenny B., web designer and creative director at Jenny B Designs, where we believe that your website is the one thing that makes you sales and builds your brand at the same time. Ready to say goodbye to a website that you're embarrassed to share? And hello to a money-making, personality-packed powerhouse? Let's head into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. I appreciate you spending time with me today. If we haven't already met, I'd love to do a quick little intro. I'm Jenny. I own Jenny B Designs. We are a brand and web design studio, and my passion is for helping small business owners like you shine online. And what does that mean? I want you to have a beautiful, personality-packed website that truly speaks to your ideal client and makes you more money. And I do this by designing full websites, as well as website audits and strategy calls. Now, before we get into the episode, I just wanted to take a second and thank a recent reviewer of the podcast. This is from Super Excellent, and she writes, I love this podcast. Jenny keeps it to the point, easy to follow, and has such a wealth of knowledge that can help any small business owner in so many ways, even outside their ever-important website. Thank you, Jenny, for doing this work to help us small business owners. Christine Santos, host of the Wander Boldly podcast. Christine, thank you so much for your recent review. I will link her show below so that you can check it out. And I just wanted to thank you, the listener. I really appreciate you listening to the show. And if you are finding this podcast helpful, I would appreciate it if you would take a moment of your time and leave me a review down below. I would be so grateful. Reviews really are the way for others to find the show so that they can learn more about this website design that I keep talking about. Thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate you. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about website audits. And let's start with what a website audit actually is. You can think of a website audit as kind of like a health checkup for your website. We all go to the doctors at least once a year, and that's what that time is for, really an examination of what's going on with your overall health. A website audit is pretty much the same thing, but it comes down to looking at all aspects of your website, from its performance to its security and content to the user experience. And a good website audit really will give you a clear picture of what's working well with your website and what needs improvement. You might be thinking, well, why should I really care about performing a website audit? You know that your website is that first point of contact between you and your potential client. It is your 24/7 salesperson, like I always say, and it needs to be working for you around the clock, even while you sleep. It is a critical piece of your business. And you need to make sure that it is working and working hard for you. And if you think of it like an employee, with your traditional employee, typically you have a performance review at least once a year, if not twice. And I want you to think about doing this with your website. You want to review it. Regular website audits are so important because they help you stay competitive and ensure that you're meeting your business's goals. Let's talk a little bit about the 3 signs that you might need a website audit. The first sign is that you might have a decline in your website's performance. This is really important because it can significantly impact your business. And sometimes this happens and you might not even realize it. Let's talk a little bit about how you can kind of identify if you are experiencing a decline in website performance. The first sign that it's not performing well is that you have low conversion rates. Low conversion rates means that for the amount of people that are coming to your website, there are very few people taking the desired action that you want them to take. Let's break this out a little bit. For me, for my website, when someone comes to my website, The desired action I want them to take is to schedule a consultation call with me. Or if they're not ready for that, I would like them to join my newsletter list or take my personality quiz. Those are my 3 calls to action on my website. If you are a consultant and the first step in your process is for someone to fill out a form to learn a little bit more about them and how you can help them, that is the desired action that you want them to take. If you're a massage therapist, you want someone to book an appointment with you. This is your conversion. And how do you measure your conversion rate? You take the amount of people that are coming to your website and then divide the amount of people that actually take the action by that number. A typical conversion rate for someone in the service industry is about 2 to 3%. For every 100 people that come to your website, you want at least 2 to 3 conversions from that. And so, in order to determine your conversion rate, you would need to know how many people are coming to your website. Hopefully, you have analytics set up, like Google Analytics or micro analytics or any other way to measure your traffic. But in lieu of that, if you do not, then think about the number of people last month that actually took your desired action and see if that has been on track with what you have been experiencing in the past. And then you can make a determination if that conversion rate is low or high. Similarly, a way to know if you have declined website performance is if you are getting those conversions, but the people that are getting in touch with you are actually not the right kind of client. They're not the right fit for you. Perhaps they are not prepared to invest in your services at the price point that you are offering them, or perhaps they don't align with your process, or that they are looking for a service that you actually can't quite deliver. The people that are getting in touch with you aren't the right kind of client. That's another way to determine if your website is declining in performance. And the final way is if the people just aren't engaging. And this kind of goes back to the conversions. But if you are able to look at your analytics, you notice that people aren't staying on your website for very long, or they get there and then they leave quite quickly. That's kind of your bounce rate. Or if they aren't making those conversions, those poor engagement metrics. That's how we know that your website is declining in performance. That's the number one reason why you might need a website audit. The second reason is that perhaps your website has outdated design or functionality. Your website is a reflection of your brand. I love building websites that have unique brand personality. And when you have an outdated website, it really can make your entire business kind of seem behind the times. I will tell you, when I am doing research on working with a service provider, if I go to their website and it looks like it hasn't been updated in 5 or 6 years and it has an old non-full width look and you just get that sense that it's an old website, it really makes me feel like they're not taking care of their business. And design trends online, they evolve quickly. They change. So if your site was built 5 years ago, it probably could be turning potential clients away. And an audit can really highlight the areas where your design needs a little bit of a refresh. Another way you know if you have an outdated design or functionality is looking at your content. Nothing says we don't care like a website with outdated information or links that don't actually work. And an audit will look at your website comprehensively, go through page by page, and identify these issues so you can really address them properly. Perhaps you have a few links on your website that don't go anywhere. When a potential client clicks on that, they're going to get confused. They're going to not know where to go next. And sometimes you can lose the conversion from that. Same goes with your content. If you haven't updated your content in a while, recommendations to refresh key pieces of your website can really engage your potential clients. Performing a website audit can help identify those outdated design or functionality pieces of your website and that you can improve these experiences for your visitors. And the final sign that you might need a website audit is that you perhaps maybe had a change in business goals or target audience. Businesses evolve, we all do, and your website really needs to keep pace. I have worked with a number of clients that first came to me, I would say 3 or 4 years ago, and we built a beautiful website that reflected their brand and their personality and their offerings at that time. And since then, their offerings have changed. They've narrowed, they've niched a little bit, and they understand their ideal client a little bit more. I'll give you an example. I worked with a consultant, and she was helping with the financial side of businesses. And she helped all different service-based businesses. And after working with a number of businesses for quite a while, she determined that her target audience was actually nonprofits. That's where her passion lied. That's where she knew she wanted to work. So she came back to me a few years later, and we did a refresh of her website. And it included new copy and new imagery to really reflect the target audience that she wants to work with. Businesses change. So if you've had a shift in your business goal or your service offerings, or you've pivoted your business model a little bit, your website needs to reflect these changes. And a website audit can ensure your site really represents your current offerings at this point in time. Another way to know if you've had a change in business goals is thinking about your demographics. If you're trying to attract a different audience, that audit can help you understand if your current site's content, design, and functionality will appeal to that new target market. And then on the other side of that, if you are expanding into new markets, maybe you're not niching down, maybe you are growing and expanding, then looking at your website to cater to these new markets effectively is a great thing that an audit can identify. To sum it up, these are the 3 key reasons why you might need a website audit. Number 1 is a decline in website performance. Number 2 is an outdated design or functionality. And 3 is changes in your business goals or target audience. So if you've noticed any of these signs on your own website, it might be time to consider a website audit. Click the link in the show notes where you can learn more about my website audit process. It really is an easy first step towards making your site work even better for you and your visitors. Thank you so much for listening, and I will chat with you next time. And that wraps up another episode of Website Design Made Simple. I hope you found the insights shared in this episode valuable and takes you one step closer to creating a website that attracts more of your ideal clients and builds your brand. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Your review will help us reach more small business owners like you who are ready to make more money with their website. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.